Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one's entitled, Why is the Sun So Hot if it is a simulation? And that is the question that is often asked when I show people that it is impossible for the sun to be in Earth's skies. In other words, for it to be shining anymore. And you may look at Article 723, 724, and 725 for more details on that. Now, heat is energy which manifests as movement of particles in a material. Particles in a hotter object move faster than particles in a cooler object. Heat can be conducted through a material. Like heat is being conducted here by this rod from the fire to the hand. So it takes a physical material to conduct this heat. The heat flows across the rod. So materials which are good conductors of electricity are also good conductors of heat, suggesting that both electric current and heat transfer are manifestations of the same thing. And that is energy being transferred across a material. The sun does not make direct contact with the Earth, as it is 93 million miles away. So it cannot transfer heat to the Earth through conduction. Instead, the sun used to emit light or photons which were absorbed by the Earth's atmosphere and surface. Light or photons are energy. So when a material absorbs photons, its energy increases. And when its energy increases, it vibrates faster or moves faster. In other words, its temperature increases. And this is illustrated by this diagram, how the sun used to heat the Earth through emitting photons or light, which were then absorbed by the atmosphere or the surface of the Earth. But now the Earth's atmosphere is heated by artificial devices based on laser technology, which emit radiation and thus through the same process heat the Earth's atmosphere. The atmosphere is not a good absorber of visible light, so ultraviolet lasers are used. So the use of ultraviolet lasers leads to a greater increase in the atmosphere's material because it absorbs it better. So the evidence showing that they are in use comes from measurements of ultraviolet radiation reaching the Earth's surface. These lasers emit so much UVC radiation that there is now more reaching the surface than used to arrive from the sun at the top of the atmosphere. In other words, before the Earth's atmosphere got a chance to absorb any. It used to be that no UVC reached the surface, but now it seems that the atmospheric heaters in use are even emitting extreme ultraviolet radiation, which is very harmful and most likely why cases of skin cancer have increased to the extent they have in the last 20 years. And you may look at Article 204 for more details. And here you can see some graphs showing the measurements that were done. And this curve here is for the UV radiation that was reaching the surface in 2002. It was done by Diffie. And this shows that there was quite a lot of UVA, but UVA is not harmful. It's lower energy ultraviolet. UVB is higher energy, and there was not much. The lower energy UVB, there was some. It quickly went down to zero when we got to about the middle of the range. And then there was none reaching the surface, and there was no UVC reaching the surface. That was in 2002. Then in 2017 and 2018, Hendon et al. Measured the radiation reaching the surface, and this is what they obtained. As you can see, the curve does not drop off to zero once we get into the high energy UVB anymore. And as we move into the highest energy ultraviolet radiation in the UVC range, it goes sharply up. And this is a logarithmic scale. So what we have here, if we look here at the highest energy, which is the 200 nanometers detected by these measurements, can see a value here of 20. Whilst before, and this was measurements carried out by NASA of the ultraviolet radiation reaching the top of the atmosphere. That's before any got into the atmosphere, so there was no absorption whatsoever. This was what was getting to the Earth from the sun before anything got absorbed by the atmosphere. And as you can see, it's below 1. It's about 8 there at the 200 nanometer mark. Now we have 20. So that's 20 times more radiation, more ultraviolet radiation, the highest energy ultraviolet radiation reaching the surface than was getting to the top of the atmosphere before. So the only explanation is that the source is within the atmosphere. They have ultraviolet lasers emitting this radiation within the atmosphere and probably not very far up because so much of it is reaching the surface. And because of this increasing trend, a sharply increasing trend that we see there, this curve is likely to continue going up, which means that these atmospheric heaters, artificial laser technology that they are using to heat the atmosphere, are emitting extreme ultraviolet as well. So, and then there's the water molecules in the atmosphere, which would absorb microwave radiation. Therefore, all cell phone towers and cell phones are providing heat for the atmosphere. But the sun did not primarily transfer energy to the Earth through radiation. The Earth received and continues to receive energy from the sun through its core system. Earth's core started out inside the body of the sun, and the two remain connected, in other words, in tune with each other, so that the energy continuously flows from the sun's core to the Earth's core, which then powers its matter creation and gravitational field. The Earth uses the energy to create volcanic gases, water, magma, oil, and many other compounds. And you may look at Article 722 entitled Planet X Creates Oil, Why Does It Not Fall on Land, for more details. It also uses it to keep the inside of the Earth hot and molten, and thus able to maintain the Earth's spherical shape. And you may look at Articles 651 and 696. This one's on Schumann resonances. And for more details on that. And this diagram illustrates how all objects are connected through their cores. So Earth as a planet remains connected to its parent star, the sun, because the core started out as one core. And the sun's core broke apart into one larger core and satellite cores. It then ejected one of those cores and became Earth. So they remain connected, they remain tuned into each other. And all objects in the universe are connected to their parent object, so that eventually we would get to a supergalactic core. So a supergalactic core ejected part of its core, which became a large galactic core, and then that galactic core ejected part of its core, became a smaller galactic core, and then a globular cluster, large stars, smaller stars, and small stars, planets. And they're all connected. So all celestial objects in the universe have a piece of the original core in them, since it was this core which broke into smaller and smaller pieces and thus led to the formation of the universe. But in addition, there's energy being fed into the system all the time, because there's energy flowing from core to core all the way from the supergalactic core. Where does the supergalactic core get its energy? It would have to come directly from the creator of the universe, who then sustains all objects in the universe with gravitational energy. In other words, light or photons, because that's what gravitational energy is. So in conclusion, the heating of the Earth's atmosphere by the real sun is no longer taking place. Artificial devices are now doing that job through the same process, emission and absorption of radiation. The amount of ultraviolet radiation reaching the surface suggests the widespread use of ultraviolet lasers as atmospheric heaters. Cell phones and cell phone towers are also doing their part. The sun has, however, not stopped transmitting energy directly to the Earth's core, and most of the energy that the Earth receives from the sun comes in through the Earth's core. And these are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.